Colorado found a way. Here is a tweet from one of our weekly guests and CBS and ESPN analyst, Taylor McCarg. That is 1,000% on the coaching for Baylor. Rush 5 press coverage on a Hail Mary, unbelievably bad by the staff. And Taylor sent us a text during that moment. So Dave Aranda explained at the end of the game, he called it, by the way, the victory cigar coverage, that the right defensive end was not supposed to crash, that he was supposed to maintain the edge. He didn't. Shedeur got outside. Just before he's hit, he throws a BB. Great catch in the end zone right there. Great comeback by Colorado because Baylor seemed to have that game, as I said earlier, not in control, but they always kind of had that thing where they needed it to be. And then the fumble by Dominic Richardson at overtime after Colorado scored pretty quickly. That is I asked this question. Is this among the UNLV-type losses for Baylor in their history, or is that going too far?
No, because that one was just pure hubris. This was a bad call, but it wasn't a hubris, I don't think. I don't think it was that. It was a really bad defensive call. It was really poor execution.
Was it a bad defensive call? That's what Taylor's saying. But if you hear Aranda, if you don't let where Shedeur rolls to his left collapse, then maybe he doesn't get such a free shot.
I don't think Aranda called for guys to slip and fall down or not come up and play the pass. I mean, that was – you can place the blame where you want to. I do think there was some element of the teaching obviously wasn't there all the way that it needed to be.
Absolutely.
So there's moments in that game where you can blame the coaches. There's also moments in that game where just watch it and you watch the players falling down and flailing and Colorado's players jumping up, making plays, doing the things they had to do to win that game. One team went out and had the killer instinct that they saw the opportunity to win that game, and they went and they made it happen with the opportunities they had. Travis Hunter forces a fumble. Shedeur gets away, throws the pass. Receivers jumping up and making catches. And they even had –
after they lost, the play after they had one drop.
I wanted to say that. Yeah. After they had the play where they dropped the Hail Mary, they got over it, and they went and did it the very next play.
Yep.
Whereas Baylor, make a field goal. Go up 10. The game is over. You missed the field goal.
Yep.
You have an opportunity to tie up in overtime. Cross the goal line. You fumble the football and give it to them, and you end the game on a fumble into the end zone. Like, you have no killer instinct. You have absolutely zero dogs that can finish a game, and Colorado, for all anybody wants to say about them, and I felt good about my Colorado takes after that game, by the way, where I haven't been like all on them and this is failure. Like, give them a chance to breathe. They are as high as they have been since Dion arrived after Saturday night. Whether you love it or hate it, they are now must-watch TV because there's actually a little bit of substance to it still here as we enter week number 5. But Baylor doesn't know how to finish. I can't remember the last big game they won under Dave Aranda. It's been like
Oklahoma
2 years.
on the road in 2022.
2022.
Yeah.
That's the last time they've actually gone into a big game and won it. And the damnedest, most disappointing thing about it all is they played, except for like one play, well enough to win that game. They had an incredible game plan. They rolled in there. They were focused. They were playing hard. They weren't intimidated by any of the flash and dash or being in Boulder or the altitude or any of that. They looked like they had their minds right to go and win that football game. But when it boiled down to who's going to go out here and grab this game and win this Colorado had the dudes to go and do it. And Baylor is back to the drawing board. And this is another week where instead of it being, hey, we actually won 2 games in a row and here's some momentum, it's herky-jerk, stop and start, win and loss, and it's just impossible to build things that way.
Well, yeah, and why the safety's in the back of the end zone?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Wait, why would you be in the back of the end zone?
You have one-on-one on a Hail Mary?
Yeah.
No, it's – so, Craig, everything you just said, I mentioned I agree with it totally. And where it comes down to, like, when I was picking this game, I knew it was going to be close, and I picked Baylor because I thought all of the little things would be in Baylor's favor. Colorado doesn't have game plans so much as they just have athletes. And what Baylor doesn't have is they don't have guys who are, like, there are 3 possible first-round picks on that offense for Colorado right now, and then a couple of guys will be on the second day. So they have those dudes. They have guys. Baylor doesn't really have those guys on offense, but the game plan was right. This was like all those little things are right. All they had to overcome was the minute they got a chance to put Colorado on the ground, they had to. But if you give Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter any kind of openings to make plays, those dudes are going to do it because that's what they do, and they both did.
Matthew McCallum, I'm going to disagree with you. You're saying we're taking the wrong take on this. It's not because Colorado had the dudes to do it. Colorado didn't remotely deserve that win from how they played. No, they have the dudes. The long throw to Travis Hunter in the first place. The play by Horn when he spun barely off the ground and made a big play. You beat Colorado by eliminating, or you're not going to eliminate, by making sure you don't give up too many explosive plays, and they did. And in the end, Colorado showed some balls by how they did what they did, won the game, and then Baylor kicked the field goal, and none of that drama even gets into play.
Yeah,
Kick it. It's a 40-something yard field goal, make it.
I know that there's going to be a lot of people that look at that and don't want to give Colorado credit. Instead, would rather point to how Baylor choked it away. I think it's both. I think that, Dom Richardson didn't fumble because the ball slipped out of his hands. Travis Hunter made him fumble at the goal line. The Hail Mary had to be thrown by somebody and caught by another, and it wasn't caught the first time, and they went back to it, and it happened again. Like, Baylor threw up all over themselves. But it's a little bit of both. Colorado also went out there when they could have easily caved. They could have easily just been like, all right, that's it, man. We're out of this game. And they didn't. They fought hard. Did you not see how much that meant to them at the end of the game? Like, they desperately needed a win like that. And, yes, Baylor left the door open when they could have closed it and locked it. And that's the point. They didn't. And Colorado, instead of tripping over themselves and Shedeur throwing a pick or not catching the Hail Mary, they did the things they had to do, given the opportunity to win that game, whereas Baylor didn't. So if you don't want to give Colorado a ton of credit for that, I can understand that. But you have to give them some credit for that. It doesn't mean they're going to go win 10 games. But that was as big of a win as Deion's had since beating Nebraska, and at least one B with the Nebraska win, I would say, in his 2 years so far.
I would say TCU is still bigger.
Because TCU at the beginning. I forgot about that.
What we didn't know yet about TCU.
TCU didn't end up being very good.
No, but it was like it launched.
It was a big deal for them at the time. But yeah, I mean, that was a game that if you're Baylor, you are just absolutely nauseous after that one because there was no reason you should have lost that game. But again, it comes down to players make plays, and they could not execute in the end, no matter how many opportunities they were given when it mattered the most. And Colorado did, and that's why the Buffs got that huge victory and why it's back to the drawing board for Dave Aranda and the Bears and seemingly never able to leave a place of just being not good, not bad, but just whatever they are.
They left the door open.
Yeah.
And they can't afford to do that. Again, make the field goal. Why don't you put that on the kicker? Make the field goal. You kicked a couple of long ones the week before. Make the field goal. And the game is over. But again, you open the door.